and it has a method with some dirt, sand, and pieces of machines, and bruises everywhere with some foggies as all around that. The James-Senpai is looking at supplies, and suspiciously that is a strange something is a strange coming at the Yandere Trio. Once that he picking up the one piece of paper, the first paper on it, and it start to Yandere Trio spawning shortly, with the Yandere Miku, Psychotron, and Mayday Yandere Mark came into the high school, and they're just sinking, stalking to James-Senpai. And players despite with the players as you have to picking up the piece of paper quickly before evacuated until the Yandere Trio is going to catch you, and the captures on it like Slender The Eight Pages. It's fun with this the Paranoid Quarantine, the local games, the concept, the demo games, the style of the Slender The Eight Pages game style, with the full 3D, the environment and open world. It was have to been using Unity engines and Unreal engines. It's too much gigabytes for me, and I wish I had to make this indie game studios with motion captures, animators, the animations as a whole lot there, and I have to make this concept of 2D/3D animation in it with the traditional hand drawing, the Japanese animated animation. And the James-Senpai is but with the only handles that holding up the flashlight and the phones that charging the device in for the features of flashing light, the spotlight. When James-Senpai is seen here to the behind, that the Miku is going to stalk and torch you. After picking up the piece of paper with something like 10 piece of paper, does collect all the 10 piece of papers on it into haunted high school. When it starts to vanish with some the traps, hazardous when it increases the difficult. When you have the scene, there's picking up this 3 more piece of paper. They'll have the less with the vanishes more, and it's going to be difficult. And just picking up the 6th piece of paper until the more it vanishes, the more hazardous, and the foggies, as the fogs clouds in it that events is barely see. And to collect the more this 2 piece of paper when it starts to continuing to be the climax with the machines, increase the foggies, and thus advantage the speed to the increasingly speed, and the struggle to attempt to attack there. And after that, it takes the one last piece of paper that when the foggies then entirely completely to barely see, that all of it does have to use the phone spotlights to see here. The Yandere Trio is much more faster, more difficult, as when it attempts at taking up to all the piece of paper. After picking up the 10 piece of paper, and then notice where they get into the bicycle, the cycle into the parking is calling, and Yandere Trio just try to caught him to the James-Senpai, and they managed to made it out to evacuate. And then after the completed the objective, the bicycles, the parking lots that take to the bicycle to the package They had to take the safety, and then the James-Senpai goes away. And Yandere Trio, the scene that looking for James-Senpai just made it out, that they escaped. And just overwatches this about parking lots and streets, traffic roads, and then and retreat back into the high school. And then now they start to torching to Akira and Shinji Senpai. Akira and Shinji Senpai still enslaved in high school and trapped in school that is a lot of the whole time. This is what I had to make the Slender The Eight Pages and Slender The Arrival, the gameplay mechanics and concept of the paranoid quarantines. This would have to go to favor. That's why I better have to figure to find out. So I have to make this big story, but I try to do so. I try the best with the paranoid quarantine, the stories, and the Who Framed Miku art books of story tales does have included features. The main characters is not here at the standalone media. It's only for James-Senpai, Anthony J. McCollin to trap in the countries with several months to keep to survive, searching for someone to like interest as a usual, the friendly of Russian people to help them the supplies that, just especially the items that in order to manage to escape the country. And I also the cameos the Goro Boy the Goro Boy vacations the holiday trip at the Japan's. As a Goro Boy, it seems that suspiciously that one of the kidnaps the James-Senpai, that the story of the prologue of the paranoid quarantines, and it all started the events that took place in the Japan's, the findings of supplies, that missing items, missing everything, and searching the good friendly, be honestly, that survived the tragic kidnapping and missing person. The 6 people that asked it there where was the James-Senpai, the missing person that seems to be is possibly the kidnapping. That's really like as reminds that the real world says the kidnapping of people. But I would rather that real life, the sections that I would never going outside the location. I would never going outdoors. Anything that the biggest, the dangerously areas I ride on the bicycle. This is what I have. I was really might have to be featuring the main protagonist of James-Senpai, and thus featuring the Trio individuals, because they have a living with the Yandere Miku, Psycho John, and the others, the German British man named Manny Yandere Mark. Manny Yandere Mark is making like the Trio groups, like also the boy band groups. I would have rather make that the James-Senpai the big story. Where's the James-Senpai that lived in that got trapped into the country, the Japan's, and after so long to have the several months that it came back to the United States, and it is inspiring like the Troll Hunter 2010's films. It's been the 10 years after, and after that I have to make it a big story, but dark scientific fantasy, the mockumentary, filming the discussions how he feels that horrified this discovery that open legends of the Yandere Trio individuals exist, that with the encounter crazy Miku, Psycho John, and many of Yandere Mark also. Has it really the good things to note.